It seems to be all we ever talk about these days is David Moyes. It seems to be all we ever talk about today is the owners of this club. It seems to be all we talk about these days is the negatives that's happening at West Ham. It's been such a nice break from the negative rubbish that's happening at West Ham right now. However, we don't know the full facts. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is your Hammers Headlines in association with our good friends over at Knees Up Mother Brown. Make sure you do go across there and check out the fantastic content. KUMB.com. Fantastic content as per usual. As today I get started on the first of the news stories coming out of West Ham. Now listen, we are all aware that David Moyes' future at West Ham is under increasing pressure as the club supposedly are drawing up a list of candidates to replace the manager at West Ham. Now, we are hoping, obviously, to try and turn our fortunes around, and we're hoping that one player can help that situation, and that is Lucas Paqueta, as we're expecting him hopefully to be fit sooner rather than later, and that could give Moyes potentially the opportunity to turn things around. But we're leaning to the side of thinking that a new manager could be coming in, and West Ham are looking into what options are potentially available. And now I know we've spoken a few times about some of the managers, and some of those managers have been in, the mainstream media supposedly saying, they're waiting for that next big project job, etc., etc. And you're hearing the stories about Thomas Tuchel obviously being under pressure at Bayern Munich, getting the vote of confidence from the board, as Russ said earlier on. And on top of that, previously, Tim Steidten has looked and very keen to work with a manager of that ilk. Moyes initially had held talks over signing a deal with West Ham, but they were put on hold. And as things stand, it's looking more and more likely that West Ham will be looking to make a change coming into the new season. One of those shortlisted managers supposedly is this guy here, Julen Lopetegui. You'll know him and remember him from his days at Wolverhampton Wanderers. He wants his teams to play out from the back. They build with the fullbacks positioned in low, while the centre-backs split from the goalkeeper, and they sit behind the opposition's first line of pressure. He likes that build-up play. The manager comes with a lot of reputation behind him. Of course, managing Real Madrid from his time in Spain, he was recognised as a manager that wanted to come in. That didn't last that well. But really, his time at Sevilla, back for 2 or 3 years when he managed them, he won them the Europa League, qualified them for the Champions League, eventually leaving his role at Sevilla and moving into Wolves. But what's interesting about the Wolves situation is that they were linked and doing their due diligence on Julen for years and years and years, spreading back nearly 8 years that they were really interested in him. And the thing is that they got him and lost him just as quick. And what really was surprising about the Lopetegui leaving Wolves situation was that there was so much discontent within the club. And Lopetegui said that he actually said that the goalposts had moved, claiming he learned the severity of the Wolves' financial constraints only at the end of the season before he left the club. And all of those goalposts had moved. Now, with a manager like Julen, I think he believes in a project to a certain extent, but I don't think he likes the thought of the owners pulling the wool between his eyes. And I think that he is a coach-style manager, maybe a manager that with the right model could fit a good system, maybe under the system of Tim Steidten and, of course, Mark Noble as well. Very, very interesting how West Ham see this one develop. I'm not sure what the full situation is. He's not in work as we currently speak, but he has obviously got a strong history of managing clubs. Spain under-17s, Rayo Vallecano, Real Madrid B team, all the Spanish teams from the youth systems, under-19s, under-20s, under-21s, Porto, then the Spain international side himself, winning some trophies along the way. So an interesting option for West Ham moving forward. Lots of people, though, have been discussing this guy, Graham Potter, of course, formerly of Brighton and recently of Chelsea taking a break from management as things stand? Is he the answer for West Ham, and is he the future? Do you know what's really interesting about him and his Brighton days? You know, the fans actually previously had turned against him at Brighton, but he managed to turn things around. And what he does is he uses a number of players in different roles that change positions constantly during games. So something that's interesting when you watch West Ham is, even now, even with our best players, there is an element of staticness. But Graham Potter drives that experience from within the players to say you have to keep moving, constantly overturning, recycling your position, and that forces opposition teams into pressures, and again forcing teams into like areas where they can't play from. So if you've got a left-sided defender, forcing him out onto the touchline, and he's got no other angle except for to smash it. And right now, when you're watching West Ham, you feel like when West Ham get the ball, all we do is smash that ball forward. Again, Graham Potter, though, did move ahead to Chelsea, and people say, well, it went wrong at Chelsea. Well, what went wrong? Well, to be honest with you, we all know what goes wrong at Chelsea. Look at the amount of managers that they have sacked. Things weren't going out well, and he was given a lot of money, and he had a lot of inexperience with a lot of money. And I think sometimes when you look at managers like Graham Potter, who are trying to build their reputation in managerial worlds, I think he is a kind of project-based manager. And a club like Chelsea, who are hungry for success and will try and buy their success, will go through managers left, right, and centre. So I think what you can do is also put that to the side and have a look at what he did do to create that vibe at Brighton that De Zerbi came in and drove forward, but was created from Graham Potter. Interestingly about Graham Potter, though, is that he has worked under a sporting and technical director. So he's already aware of that situation and is a full-time football coach. So that system would work well with Tim Steidten. But again, if rumours are to be led to be true, then it would be a case of Tim Steidten choosing the boss. And we will have to wait and see for that one. Now, this one, we've already spoken about it. Steve Cooper, not one that fills me with a huge amount of joy. I don't necessarily rate him much. You know, he, in terms of, it would, for me, it would defeat the purpose of bringing in a Steve Cooper if you're getting rid of a David Moyes. You know, he likes to attack teams at every opportunity, using both space in the wide areas of the park. But I feel like it's a kind of low block style play. I think he's done really well to do what he did with Nottingham Forest, giving them the best chance, getting them promoted, giving them the best chance in the Premier League. But I feel like he would be a kind of another David Moyes type manager. And I think we need to move away from that if we are going to be looking at a new manager as such. You know, problems with him at Nottingham Forest come the end of his days was that, you know, they spent a lot of money on deadline day. I think they brought in something like 7 new players. And he said that he felt like the players were playing catch up to and understand his methods. So there was an element of him not liking being in control, but trying to coach the teams. And then obviously, you know, there was a lot of unsettlement around the time at Nottingham Forest. A lot of Nottingham Forest fans were not happy when he was sacked, but have bit the bullet and understood that where they want to go as a club. And I just don't see this one being the option for us ourselves. So you leave your comments in and let me know your thoughts on those 3 potential managers. There's a lot more managers that West Ham are linked to, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen, because we have to wait and see what happens with the David Moyes situation, of course. Anyway, hit the thumbs up, hit the comments if you like it. Hit the bell notification if you're interested in getting regular notifications from us on the West Ham Network. Join Alex with Alex's TikTok takeover at 9 p.m. tonight. We'll be talking all things West Ham, which I assume will be all things David Moyes. Take it easy and come on.